Hey, I am back and I am excited to see you all or to be with you all. Can't physically see you, but I'm just calling you in, right? I'm calling you in and believing that you're there. And I'm excited for another podcast with you all. I'm excited for another episode. Woo, y'all. Every time you see me, you need to know that you have made it. We have made it through another month. That is no small feat. I didn't say a week. I didn't say a few minutes. I didn't even say a day. I said we made it through a whole other month, a whole nother month. When you see me, it's a new month, and Lord willing, it is my intention to get this podcast out as close to the first week of the new month as possible. And so I am just grateful and honored to be here with you all yet again. So what's been going on, sis? You got to catch me up. Like, I want to know all about it. You got to tell me what you've been doing. You got to tell me what you've been eating. You got to tell me what you've been reading. Because you know we're going to do this check-in. You know we got to start with this check-in. So what are you doing? What are you reading? I finally finished, I have to tell you, I finally finished Power Moves. Phenomenal read. I enjoyed it thoroughly. And I am reading a couple of new books. A couple of new books. It's crazy how your girl goes on summer break, right? We got like a 2 or 3 week break because, baby, summer classes. Now, why y'all ain't tell me? Why y'all ain't told your girl? Why y'all ain't tell me? Y'all could have told me that summer was ridiculous. I've been out of school for a minute and I forgot those condensed summer school classes, like 5 weeks, the 16-week class in 5 weeks. Absolutely insane. But we did it. I did it. And let me tell you something, I am proud of myself because I didn't know. It got a little rocky there. Got a little rocky. I'm not even gonna lie. It got a little rocky. It got a little shady. I was doing a little bit of questioning, like, is this really what I want? Am I really called? The people don't need me that much. Do the people really need to hear from like Gwendolyn Jones? You know what I mean? Because the way this class is set up and the way these 20-page papers every other week is set up, like does it really need to be me, Jesus? You know, I was doing a little questioning, but I said, yes, it is I. And I pushed forward and I pushed through. And I made it. And I will tell you, it was hard while I was in the thick of it. But once it was all said and done, I was like, look what I can do. Look what I did. Listen, we can do hard things, ladies. I'm starting off strong. Listen, I have been through, I'm not here to be like super dramatic, but I will say there was some adversity. There was some adversaries against this podcast coming forth. And you know what? And that's all right because I'm here for a challenge and God willing, I'm going to be persistent and I'm going to endure and I'm going to make sure that whatever God lays on my heart, I bring forth to you. And I believe that today's topic is powerful. I believe it is impactful. And that is why I believe there was warfare fighting against it. But yet again, we here. We made it. And I can't wait to share what's going on today, what today's topic is. So, but yes, summer school was a beast. But I was telling you all we can do hard things because even when we come up against adversity, even when it feels like we are on, what is this? I think the Olympics are happening right now, and there's um I'm not super familiar, I'm not a sports gal, but there's some form of track where you run, and then there's this like barrier and you gotta like jump over it. It's not the high jump, but you jump over it and you got to keep running. And then there's another one. And you got to jump over that one and you got to keep running. And then there's another one. It's a beam of sorts. And you got to jump over that one. You know what I mean? That's how life can feel like sometimes. It's like you constantly jumping over these beams, and these beams are different heights and they at different levels. And it's just so much going on. And it's just like you get tired sometimes, but all you know is I'm just going to keep running and jumping and jumping and running. And then the thing about track that makes me happy, because this is why this don't necessarily apply to life, but when I put this track scenario works, because if I'm not wrong, the thing that's cool about track is that at the end of that race or run or whatever it's called, at the end of it, like there's a finish line, there's an end point, right? There's an ending to it. So you can kind of know that you can see it. Like as you keep running, first you can't see it, the finish line, but then you running and you jumping and you jumping and you running and you running and you jumping, and then you get closer to it and you're like, oh my God, it's right there, I can see it. And then you're like running and jumping, and you might be tired and you might be a little weary, but then you get right and you're like, it's right there. And I done passed it. And then you look back, baby, don't get me started. Y'all, don't get me started in here today. I'm telling you right now, do not gas me up, because all I need is a little flicker. I don't even need a full light, because I can go today. Okay. I am the one for whoever wants it today. I promise you, you can get it. But when you look back and you're like, look at that. Look at what I did. Because there might have been a time where you didn't know if you was going to make one of them hurdles, where you didn't know if you were going to be able to jump that next one. You just didn't know. But when you get to that finish line and you look back and see, I'm resilient. I can endure. I can persist. I can do hard things. Man, you build that muscle. Like you build a new muscle that you didn't know that you had. And there's power in that, and there's strength in that, and the mental toughness that comes with persistence and the pursuit and finishing. ah you're developing on many levels, physically, mentally, emotionally. You're overcoming whatever's in your mind, whatever your brain was telling you as you were on that race, as you were on that journey. You're overcoming all of that. You might have blocked it out. I don't know what was happening, but the thing is, you made it across that finish line. So when you have these tiny wins, man, don't just move on to the next thing. Pause. I'm the pause queen at this point. I'm just need to get me a crown and say pause. I am the pause queen. I need to get a sash, because I think I say pause every episode. But pause, and I mean it, and reflect and learn those lessons and be proud of yourself, and consider what it took for you to get to where you got. And there's nothing that's too small to celebrate. Like, even as a part of this check-in, like, what are you proud of? That's one of my questions. Because I tell you, I was proud of myself when I finished that class. I mean, it was literally 2 or 3 20-page papers. I mean, within a 5-week span, on top of, and it's no judgment. It's no judgment. And I do hate to compare like this, but I'm just not the average college student, right? Like I'm not the average graduate student. I've got, kids, and I'm moving a kid into college, and I work full time, and I'm serving in ministry. So it's just like I'm busy. I've got this business, I've got clients, and so it's just busy, and I'm not complaining. But for me and the way that my life situation is set up, it's like, man, even with all that, I still did all this. And even there was moments where I had to do it by myself, but I still did it. And there was moments when I needed help, and I asked for help, and help was right there. So you realize like who's for you and who's with you and who's got you, and then you get gratitude. You're just grateful. So like this gratitude just overcomes you. Like, do not skip the celebration. And I ain't even got into the message for the day. I ain't even into that yet, y'all. I told y'all this pod was gonna be on fire. I told you. I knew it was because I went through too much to get here, and I always know when I gotta go through hell. Oh, you go because I'm like, devil, you're doing too much to block this. You're doing too much to block it. So absolutely, I already know without a shadow of a doubt in my mind that this is gonna be the one. And I really do say that humbly. I hope that doesn't come across as arrogant, but I just know the patterns. And yeah, this was one of those things. So and it's already showing, it's already being evidence that this is gonna be a good one. So I'm proud of that. I'm proud of this already. I'm proud of you. If nobody's told you, I'm proud of you. I'm so proud of you. Not even for anything huge like passing a class or passing a summer class. I did make an A, by the way, because I am proud of me. Like, I'm proud of me. I'm proud of you, and I'm also proud of me. But, like, not even because you did anything huge, but, like, just because you are you. And just because you are seeking better. If you're listening to this podcast, you're seeking, you know that there's more, and you're out here trying to find it. I'm proud of you for that. Commend you for that. Whether or not you're reading, that's my question. What are you reading? What are you listening to? When we do these check-ins, it's important, man. It's important. It's important. And I'm all over the place. So we're going to go back to the check-ins. What are you reading? Okay. I did finish The Power Moves. And now I'm reading a book called The Gift of Imperfections by Brene Brown. And baby, when I tell you, that book right there is something serious, and it is blessing my life already. And it's one of those, Brene is such a great writer, and it's insane because she's a researcher. So it could be very academic, but she's so good with her stories and the way she brings all the elements together. She puts it and presents it in a way that you can understand. Oh, Brene. So Brene is another one of the like trusted voices. Like, I listen to Brene and I read Brene hardcore. Like, I love Brene Brown. But The Gift of Imperfections is really teaching me a lot about shame and how to get rid of shame, and just emotional intelligence period is something that I'm very interested in learning about, all these feelings and emotions and what they mean, and what are some of the barriers to these emotions and some of these feelings, like how to get around them, what to do with them, what are we trying to do when we're experiencing them, what do we need. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Atlas of the Heart is a great um, complement to that book as well. I'm kind of reading Atlas of the Heart, but Atlas of the Heart is literally an atlas for emotional wellness. Like, it's the emotions. It's a book explaining it's like a dictionary for the emotions, and I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And then we're having a corporate reading at church, which is really good. I think it's called Simple Life. I will put the link in the comments. Simple Life, Rich Money, Simple Life, I believe it's called. I just started reading that, and it's really good. So another well-written book. My pastor, but he gonna recommend a good book. He's a reader, and we're always reading and growing. I mean, if you listen, if you are going to attend the City Church Goldsboro, be prepared to grow because we are readers and we are learners. So yes, we're reading that book, and it's really good. It's well written, easy read. I'm locked in. I love books that are easy to read. That I'm not struggling. I'm also reading, which I'm very excited about. We're gonna talk about this later, but this is my one new thing, right? So when I say, what did you do for yourself, right? So generally, I'm reading something for knowledge. It's a knowledge-based read. I want to get better. I want to be better. I want to have knowledge so that I can continually help people. It's like a continuing education type thing for me. So it's a self-help book or something like that. But I'm reading a book for fun, like a for fun book, y'all. Like, I think there's like a big theme takeaway. It's supposed to be a tearjerker, but I'm in this book club because I wanted some community, and the book that we're reading. So I wanted some community, and I didn't know what books to choose all the time, right? So I love that. Like, this is what I did for myself because we'll get into it, just needed to change the scenery. And so the book club is here. This is the book that we're reading, and gosh, it's a fun reading book. It's like a story book. Like, I'm reading a story with like characters. It's like a movie, but it's a book. And I know that many of you probably read for fun, or we have the leisure reading books. Um, read the different genres of books, I should say. But for me, I don't. It's generally something academic. And so I'm excited for this change of scenery, right? I'm so excited. I'm ready to dig into this book with some hot tea and my blanket, in my sunroom. So this is going to be good times. And I am actually excited about that. And sometimes we need to give ourselves things to look forward to. We're going to talk about switching up our routine. And sometimes you got to switch it up. And that's what I did. You need a nice little switch up, shake things up, do something that you haven't done before, and see how it goes. Expose yourself to something new, try something different. And we'll talk about why in a little bit. Back to you. Because again, I just haven't been talking to you in a while. So I'm just excited and I just want to catch up. What are you eating? I've been doing better, kind of, with my eating. Are you taking care of your temple? Are you taking care of your body? Are you at least, if you're eating your French fries, one day, did you have your salad the next day? That's kind of my thing, balance in eating. That's what I've been trying to do. Because listen, crumble cookie has been my strange addiction. Them cookies good, y'all. We just got one in my area, and them cookies are divine. Like somebody's grandma is in the kitchen giving them recipes and cooking them cookies because they're yummy. And they come in minis. So I get the little mini, and then usually me and my daughter gonna get like a 3-pack, and we want to taste them. My son ain't sharing no cookies, so I mean I get a 6-pack, and then he gonna eat his whole cookie though. He not gonna give me half of it. But me and my daughter are like little nibblers, so she'll eat half. Like we just want to taste it, so she'll eat half, I eat half, and so we'll just get a little sample pack and taste it. Ugh, so good. I had like a lemon blueberry today, delicious. But again, I had a salad for lunch. So I'm trying to do the balance thing with my eating. And I've been successful at that. That's been working for me. So again, that's a thing that I am proud of. And I want you to get in the habit of noticing things that you're doing. And I want you to see how kind of what could be seemingly small and insignificant, right? But these are like things that I'm proud of. These are things that I'm like, oh, look at me. I did that. And so same for you. Like they're not insignificant. They're worth celebrating. Don't skip the celebration. Um, what are you saying to yourself? What are you saying to yourself? What are you telling yourself? What are you telling yourself? Yes, I'm asking that question so many different times, many different ways, because it's important. It's very important. It's very, very important. I am telling myself right now that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, because I have got some tough things in front of me and I need to feel empowered. So that is what I've been holding on to, that I can do all things. I'm also in this era of be you, show up as you every time, and take note of places where you aren't able to be you fully. And we're going to get into that. But yes, that's a thing. And so yeah, goals. Did you set a goal? Did you meet it? What did you learn along the way? All these questions you can ask about yourself. Goals. They can be physical goals, mental goals, emotional goals, spiritual goals. I want you to know that goals come in many different, shapes, forms, fashions, categories. Like, don't box yourself in with your goals. They can be financial. They can be, you know, um, connected to weight loss or whatever. But do know you can have spiritual goals, you can have mental goals. Me and my meditation, I'm up to where I can do probably like a 15-minute meditation now. That's a huge thing. I used to start off where I could only do 2 minutes. Now I'm up to like 15 minutes. It's a big deal. So again, be mindful. Yeah. And this last question. Dun, dun, dun. My drum roll. How are you feeling? How are you feeling? Whew. Pull out that feelings wheel if you need it. But I believe at this point in life in 2024, we know how we feeling right about now. Or at least I do, because I've been thinking about it. So me, I have been feeling, I've been all over the place, but I've been feeling like the meh emoji lately, like meh, like meh. It's fine. I mean, everything's fine. It's okay. just meh, not super. Like I've been motivated because I wanted to get the podcast done. I've been working on trying to get some things set up so I can get more inspiration out to you guys and be connected with you more. So I have been writing like my blogs, and I love that I'm back to blogging. Oh, I love that so much. And then trying to work on a newsletter, but then to get the newsletter out to you all, which my podcast, of course, is called With Love Gwen. So I want to literally write you guys letters. And send them out to you. So if you are not subscribed, make sure you go to gwendolynjjones.com and subscribe. So subscribe to this podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel, but also do get on my subscriber list because that's coming. So I've been working on that, but who knows, technology ain't nobody's friend. So getting all that set up, again, barriers, hurdles. But that's all right because we working through them, and I think we might be close. But that's what I got coming down the pipeline, and so was feeling overwhelmed, feeling discouraged. Like that's a whole process, right? As you're trying to build something, that's a whole process. And it's just like, oh, why does it have to be so hard? Um, and so yeah, and then I kind of just was like, shoulders down, just I'm I'm done. That's it. I just was that was the words, like, I'm done. And I'm being honest. This is me being open, honest, and so transparent with you right now. There was a moment in the last month where I was just like, I'm just I'm just done. Like that's what I got. Like I don't have nothing else. Like I'm just done. And I didn't know. I was like, what is that though? Like what is that feeling though? So I've been really sitting with that and exploring that, and what am I feeling? What am I doing? Where is that coming from? What's around me, knowing how I'm feeling where and how I'm feeling with who, just really paying attention because that feeling kind of stuck with me. That's all I got. Like, I'm just done. And I'm like, but it wasn't tired and it wasn't overwhelmed and it wasn't necessarily burnout. It wasn't burnout and it wasn't compassion fatigue. So I'm like, what is that? And I literally just nailed down what that feeling was, y'all. I just nailed it down. And when I nailed it down, I ain't gonna lie, I got excited. When you hear what it is, you're gonna be like, huh? But just let me get through it. Let me get through it because I got excited because I was able to pinpoint the emotion first of all. But yeah, when I nailed it down, the thing that had jumped on me was hopelessness. Yep, hopelessness. That's what it was. I just felt hopeless. And not overall hopelessness, but there were certain situations that I was facing with and in the middle of. And I had been trying at these things so hard and for so long that I had reached, I believe, a breaking point where I had begun to lose hope. Hope in that situation, hope that I would see change, hope that I would be able to endure, hope that I would be able to overcome. I had just started to lose hope. And hopelessness is a real thing. And it's on the side of this emotional spectrum that we don't talk about a lot. We love the warm fuzzy feelings, right? But we don't really know what to do with. We can even deal with anger. We can deal with anger because we're like, oh, you mad? You big mad. We can handle that. But when we get to these really like these feelings, I call them, they have more depth to them, right? Like like when you hear somebody say they're hopeless, like that hurts. You're like, oh man. Hopelessness is one of those feelings with depth. Discouraged is one of those feelings with depth. So yeah, but let me tell you why I got excited though. Let me tell you why I got excited because "Don't Cry for Me," Argentina. Love that song, by the way. But yeah, don't cry for me. Before you start feeling bad, before you start, oh my God, Gwen, are you okay? Da, da, da. Before you start doing all that, the hopelessness led me down the path of exploration. When you're having these feelings of like I was doing, the hopelessness or discouraged, like I'm so discouraged, start paying attention. Like it prompted me to pay attention. And it was like, oh my goodness. First of all, when I realized it was hopelessness, and I was like, okay, well, hopelessness, what am I feeling hopeless about? Right? Like it's not like my whole life is not hopeless. Like we do have to really kind of compartmentalize some things sometimes. We need to break things down to bite-sized pieces that we can chew. So we also need to understand that oftentimes, and I do this every time, I got to get me a rubber band ball. I got to order one. But oftentimes our feelings and our thoughts and our life is jumbled up into this. If you could see it, my fingers are kind of sort of jumbled up, but it's like a rubber band ball. Those rubber band balls, it's just layers and layers and layers and layers of rubber bands. And so you don't know what one is from the other when it's all jumbled up like that. But what we have to do in these moments is tease these things apart. We take rubber band by rubber band off that ball until we can see things clearly and we can deal with each thing on its own. That's what we do in therapy. That's what we need to do. And we can do that. We can reach a point where we can do that for ourselves. But literally, therapy is, I call it unpacking the backpack or taking this rubber band ball where all this stuff is jumbled and juggled, and you just pull it apart. You tease it apart one by one. And you deal with one rubber band at a time until before you know it, you don't have no rubber bands left in your ball. Or maybe you will always have rubber bands. Who knows? But at this particular moment, I was able to get some clarity because I was paying attention. And I was like, oh my goodness, hopelessness is heavy. So in what areas am I hopeless? What situations am I hopeless about? Do you see how I'm asking questions? Like I got curious about that thing. And this is why it is kind of exciting. Like I got curious about that thing. I started inquiring about that thing. What am I learning about? When did I start feeling hopeless? Like, who was around? What was I doing? How long have I been feeling this way? Because I couldn't pinpoint it. So once I pinpointed it, I had to kind of work backwards. But what I like to call is it's kind of like I call it a Y funnel. So when you're having these things, and I think I stole this from my husband. I'm not even gonna lie, I definitely probably got this from him, this technique. But you start with a topic. For me, it was I'm feeling hopeless. And it's like, okay, why? And I sit with that thing. Why am I feeling hopeless? And it's like, okay, I'm feeling hopeless because I've really been working towards this one thing, and I just don't know if I just don't know. I don't know about it anymore. I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if it'll work. I just don't know. Okay, well, why? Hmm. Why don't I think it'll work? Why don't I think I can do it? So you ask yourself why about 5 more times, and what you're doing is you're funneling it down to the root of the issue. Because at the root of that thing, there's something that's real for you. There's something that's there for you emotionally. And you can funnel it down to the true root or heart of the matter. And then you have learned yourself something about yourself. That self-awareness is there. Then you can work on your strategy to figure out what it is that you need, who it is that you need, how you combat it, what changes do you need to make, what's your next move. And so it's a confusing time, and it could be a sad time because you definitely don't want to let hopelessness linger because it can turn into depression. It can grow. So it's something you want to catch. I'm not saying you want to keep it, and I'm not saying it's a great thing to have all the time, but it is something that when you can notice it, become aware of it, and then begin to get curious about it, understand it, explore it, learn about yourself, you really can get to the root of some serious things and understand so much more. And I did. I learned a lot about myself, about some of those situations that I was struggling with. And I was like, huh, interesting, interesting, interesting. And then slowly but surely, it's like a settling thing. You realize that, okay, all hope is not lost. That's the important thing. That's why I want to make sure things are understood and clear because it's not all hope. It's hope about this one situation. It's hope about that one situation. So those things I can handle because that hopelessness, it felt overwhelming. Like it was a cloud and it was heavy and it was weighty. And so, yeah. And so when I was able to realize that, you know what, that's just one thing I felt like that's one area. And so, you know what, that's okay. That one area is not even, like how even significant is that one area for me to be having that strong of a feeling towards, right? Like you can put things in perspective. then ask yourself the right questions once you understand, you know, that the concept, and once you funnel it down and get to really what the root is. So I also really I learned so much. I had these like barriers to hope that I really had. I really did this work, and I was like, what was I doing? What was I feeling? How did I get here? One of the things Barrett saw, and I came up with this list because, of course, I'm like, what can I learn? Because what? Because why else would I go through these things if it were not to come and teach it to you? We go through things for other people, so why else would I be going through this if not to come share this information, this lessons learned with you? So, barriers to hope. Number one, burnout. Burnout will have your thinking distorted. Burnout leads to distorted thinking. It leads to catastrophic thinking because you're tired. So everything seems more than what it is. And then when everything seems more, bigger, it can be unrealistic. So you have to do what we call reality check your thoughts. And that's where self awareness is so important because you could be feeling hopeless and you really could just be tired. And when you realize that I just needed a nap and I feel better, then and I'm okay now. Or I just needed a break, or I just need a vacation. I mean, and you could do a 360 and be a completely different person. So, lesson in that, don't make any sudden moves when you're in the middle of hopelessness. Don't make moves, don't make decisions, pause, self assess, self reflect, connect with help if you need to. Um, Comparison is a barrier to hope. For sure. And when I say barrier, these are things that block hope. These are things that prevent hope, things that get in the way of hope. Comparison, for sure, a hope barrier. When you're comparing, and comparison is so crazy. You know, when you get a car, and then it's like you ain't never seen that car before until you got it. And then you start seeing all these other cars just like yours on the road. Same thing like when you might want to have a baby and you can't, it's difficult. And then all you see is mothers. That's all you can see. Or your marriage is not where you want it to be. And you wish that he was X, Y, and Z, or your kids are not ideally what they don't meet the construct that you had made up in your mind about your kids when you were holding your little baby in your arm, and this child that you have now is not what you thought. And so you're looking at these other kids and these other moms now, and that's all you see is what seems like these perfect kids. Barriers to hope. How can you have hope when all you see is other people? And I don't like to put my mouth on other people because they really could be happy. It really could be as great as it seems. I'll never know. We'll never know. Like I'm not that one that's gonna be like, it seems one way and on social media or wherever, and it ain't even real. Probably no, it might be real. They might really be happy. Their kids might be okay. Their marriage might really be good. Their life might just be that fine. The thing is about you. We want to bring this back in the room and make sure we're focusing on you. Comparison is a distraction. Comparison is probably probably one of the strongest and most effective distractions that you will ever encounter. And I say that pretty confidently because comparison can just hit you on so many different levels and just take you down on so many different levels, and it can distort, like the cognitive distortion when it comes to comparison. Like it starts small, but the way it swells, and then your brain just takes to them and really starts creating these realities that really don't even exist, but they feel so real. It can be, and then you start manifesting these emotions attached to this reality that's not real, something that you created based off a thought that you thought was real, but that's what you think you saw on social media that may or may not be real. Like that's wild, but it's so real, and it happens every day. So comparison, definitely a barrier to hope. Location frustration. Location frustration is real. Sometimes you have got to have a change of scenery, a straight up change of scenery. We talk about burnout too. Sometimes You need to change the scenery. Um, that's what was happening with me. I was just like, wake up, go to work, you know, come home. What I'm gonna feed these kids? Go to church, pass out, wake up again, go to work. What am I gonna feed these kids? Go to church, pass out. And I mean, it was that same thing. And I was like, same people, same environment, same scenarios, same situations all the time. And I was like, I can't. I have to go. Like I have to go. And it wasn't a time where I could take a vacation. I couldn't hop on a plane and go anywhere. Wasn't feasible financially. Got a kid going to college right now. Wasn't feasible time wise. It just wasn't happening. So what did I do? I was like, well, okay, there's all these things that I can't control. What can I control? I know what I can't do. What can I do? There are some beautiful places right here in North Carolina, and I am going to try my best to remember to insert for, you have to go on YouTube to see it, but I did try to get some video clips. But I went to a beautiful park in New Bern, North Carolina. It is my new favorite place. My husband took me there for my birthday. It's my new getaway. It's like you're in a whole nother world. Trails. No, that's me. I love nature. I love fresh air. I love a good walking trail and just the scenery and water. You would have thought I was in the mountains or something, or you would have thought I was in, um, I don't know, but it was beautiful. It wasn't a long drive. The park was absolutely free. We had a blast. Me and the kids, my husband, we went out there, we walked around. Every so often you see an animal. We saw turtles. My daughter was on the lookout for snakes, but she ain't a nature person. She was really taking it for the team for real. But hey, she went. She went for her mama, and I appreciate that. But yeah, I took my family. We went out. It was a change of scenery. We stayed out all day, left my phone, put my phone on do not disturb. I was present in the moment. So disconnection, I should add, and location frustration. Sometimes you need to disconnect and you need just a minute. Just let me think. Let me have my own thoughts. Let me hear my own self talk. And let me just, I don't need people to like be needing me and pulling on me and tugging at me and yelling at me or wanting anything. I just need to be. I just need to be. I might need to be with those I love. Just let me be where I'm safe, where I'm comfortable, where I'm secure. Just let me be so I can finally exhale and be free, even if it's just for a few hours. Just let me be. And that was that was what I needed. And little by little by little, yeah, I still had these decisions to make. Yeah, I still had some things to think about as it related to the hopelessness that I discovered. And how it was related to those situations. There are some things I need to decide. But then again, they were put in perspective. Like, it wasn't that big. It was okay. It just felt really big. But it's not that big. And it's not a today thing. It's not high priority even. So perspective, location frustration. Sometimes you just need a change of scenery. Just change it up. This was bringing me to my next one, the last one, the barrier to hope. And this ain't even our topic today, y'all. Like, but I guess it is. We'll see. Mundaneness, barriers to hope. Mundaneness. When you talk about something that's mundane, by definition, it lacks interest and it lacks excitement. When I was talking about my routine, doing the same thing every day, all day, going to the same places, seeing the same people, dealing with the same irritations, dealing with the same frustrations, dealing with the same triggers every day, all day, same job, same coworkers, and you could love your job. It's great. But every so often, you got to switch that thing up. You got to switch that thing up. Mundaneness is a barrier to hope. Um, when you're stuck in the same, the routine of the same, I would say, stuck in the same routine, you're not being exposed to anything new. How are you growing? You could be comfortable. How are you learning? And being stuck, and just especially if it's that mundane feeling, same thing over and over and over again, like you are hamster on a running wheel, that leaves you to feeling stuck. And then again, it goes back to that catastrophic thinking, or I can't do this, or I can't do that, or da 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 da. It all starts with, I really just need to switch up my routine. And you can control that. I learned that I can control that. I switched my hair. I never, because things were becoming mundane for me. And that is discouraging. And it leads to hopelessness. I just switched it up. I never wear a middle part. Ever. I don't know how it would look, but hey, I think it might look all right. Gave myself a new look. I've been journaling. I really learned that, I really feel like there is like I get this like internal spiritual insight through actually writing, which makes sense because I'm a writer, even more so than a speaker. I love y'all, but I dread doing this podcast because I'm an overthinker and I'm not a speaker. But I should stop saying that because I guess I'm becoming a speaker as I practice. Like I'm practicing. But I love to write. I love to write. So journaling, just changing. These are things you can do. I got me a journal and I have been writing it up. And again, I joined that book club, a different community. It's new. And it's a new book that I would have never chosen for myself. But I'm excited about it. It's new. You got to switch it up sometimes. Switch up your own routine. Change your own game. Sometimes you got to be the change, literally, or nothing will ever change. But it don't take a lot. And that's what I hope I'm kind of just emphasizing today, because it don't take a lot. I did those few little things and I'm really excited. I'm starting to feel myself come back again. I'm starting to feel myself come back again. Um, the last thing with barriers to hope is forcing yourself into places where you can't be authentically, unapologetically yourself. And that is something to think about. When you are feeling hopeless, notice where you're at, and who you're with when you're having these feelings of hopelessness. Because that's a very real thing as it relates to you forcing yourself, a square peg forcing yourself into trying to force yourself into a circle hole. That's never going to work. So after you trying and trying and trying and trying and trying and it not working, you're going to start getting exhausted. You're going to start feeling tired. You're going to start feeling like having these thoughts. I don't belong. I don't fit in here. Da, 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 da. You're going to start having these catastrophic thinking and then there's a whole spiral. But it was all because you're forcing yourself into a place where you cannot be yourself. You need to learn where you're fully accepted, where you're fully seen, known, and loved. That's how you know that that's a place where you're safe. And that's a place where you can be authentically you. And that's our topic for today, right? Y'all see what I did there? I'm getting smooth. But that was our topic. That's our topic today. Living authentically. Living authentically. And man, when I got this topic, when I knew that this was the topic that I needed to tackle, of course, I went into the research spiral and I'm going to find every blog. I'm going to read everything. I'm going to try to be prepared. I went and got all this information. And then I learned about, core values and belief systems and all of these things. I just try. I don't know. I feel like that's like my stirrup sometimes, like just being over prepared or it like feeds my overthinking or something. And I'll go research and research and research and try to find all this information until I feel confident enough to speak on the thing. Because when I knew this was what I had to talk about, I will say I felt very insecure about it. Very insecure about bringing this topic to you. I'm like questioning myself. Am I living authentically? Like, am I a hypocrite? Is this imposter syndrome? Can I even talk about this? So, yeah, all of the thoughts came. All of the things came. And I'm reading Brene Brown. Like I'm reading like the book from the shame and resilience researcher herself. Like I know all the things. I'm deep diving into emotional intelligence right now. So I know better, but I still did the thing. Like I still went into it. And I'm not gonna lie, I probably put this off a few days, and I really had to will myself to face it and tackle it because I'm like, no, I'm not hiding from this. I am not hiding from this. Like that in itself is not authentic. Because you know what? This might I learned this in therapy all the time. My be perfect driver really kicked in, and you know what? I don't have to be perfect. And I realized as I was kind of going through those emotions and sifting through all that noise that um, living authentically is a destination, right? It's something that we try to get towards. It's something that we aim to do. And that's okay because we're always going to be a work in progress in this area. Like we may not be living perfectly authentically in every situation because I don't know how that would necessarily be possible. We have to learn how we can be authentic, show up as our authentic selves in some situations, right? So great example. I can tend to be brutally honest, right? I can. I don't mean no harm. I really don't. It's just my mommy told me that. She was like, girl, you're going to live a long time because you're honest. So when I was raised, my honesty was like rewarded and it was praised in my house though. And so I just had to run in with my sister the other day. Like she just came out the side of her neck and said something way off gate. And she was like, well, she's like, yeah, she came and said something way to the left. But that was her truth. And she ended the statement literally with, I'm sorry, but that's just my honest opinion. And the way I'm set up, I'm like, well, what I'm gonna do with honesty? Because I'm honest. I respect that. And my response was, you know what? Thank you for your honesty. And here's my thoughts. And I gave my rebuttal. And it wasn't a lot of filters in it. And she was like, you know what? Okay, you're right. And don't do this and don't do that. And yeah, let's do this moving forward. So, like in my household, we can speak this language of truth and we can handle it. When I go out into the world, that's not always the case. So I'm having to learn how to um, tailor my speech or tailor my truth in such a way that it is palatable. Or I can find environments where I can be like with my sister or my family, and I can have an honest conversation that doesn't require a lot of filtering, that doesn't require me walking on a lot of eggshells, and I can just talk, and I don't have to worry about offense, right? And I love those spaces. But those spaces can be far and few between, and people don't. They have different life experiences, and they're going to be wired differently, so they don't deserve, brutal honesty, and they won't understand that my heart is never to harm you. I'm just like a truth teller. Like I just speak kind of truthfully. Sometimes I'm too honest. Even here, like I'm an open book. Like I don't mind sharing. I don't have anything to hide, but at the same time, there's a time and place, right? So I'm learning when and how and those things. So it's even in me learning how to show up as my authentic self. Like even with confrontation, how can I really show up authentically here? How can I share my truth potentially in a loving way or in a nurturing way? So, I mean, there's levels to this for sure. But definitely wanted to speak on living authentically today because that's something that I aim to do. And I think it's something that as we cross 40, that we definitely get. First of all, we kind of are like, okay, it's something about 40 where you're just like, look, look, this is just what it is. And this is who I am. And I'm just going to be me because it's too hard to keep trying to be other people or what other people want you to be. There was a quote from my book that I had to read to you all that I love so much because it's so real. And it says, this is by Brene Brown, The Gifts of Imperfection. People may call what happens at midlife a crisis, but it's an unraveling, a time when you feel a desperate pull to live the life you want to live, not the one you're supposed to live. It's time for us to live, to identify, develop, and nurture our authentic space. Find our authentism. Like, who am I authentically? Like, y'all, I had to wrestle with this thing. And I'm not lying. Because I was like, what I'm not going to do is hop on this podcast and feel like, some sort of an imposter. Like, I'm not going to feed into that. Like, I'm not doing that because that's not what I am. It's not who I am. And so when that thought came, I was able to combat it because I put in my work to be able to bring this in a way that I'm comfortable with and that I feel strongly about. So even in this, I came up with some like core values for myself. And I thought I had core values. So when I was like reading about them, and core values are not easy to write, first of all. They're really not easy to write. So there's articles I'm going to put about core values, what they are, what they mean. I looked up all the things. So I'm going to put that in the link for the podcast and YouTube. I'm going to have it in the links for y'all. And when I send out the letters, I'll make sure that's in there too. I'm going to try. But yeah, so I really did have to sit and work on some core values. These are some things that you live by. Like, what are your core values? Oftentimes, barrier to authenticity, living authentically, is oftentimes we're living off of belief systems that were given to us. This is who I am because this is who Mama said we were. My last name is Bass. My maiden name is Bass. And my daddy used to say, we are Bass. We are Bass strong. This is what we do. This is what we don't do. And there's a lot to the value of a name and the power behind a family name, right? And heritage and legacy. Love that. But there's also a lot of belief systems attached to it that just because that's what daddy did, that don't mean that's what I did. That's because that's what, something that they believe strongly in. That's not something that may resonate with me as strongly. So it's important to understand who you are outside of the voices that told you who you had to be as a child. Living authentically really does require you to sit with yourself and decide and determine who you are mentally, physically, emotionally, academically, relationally. Who am I? What are my priorities? And so for me, one of my core values is to cultivate courage, growth, and authenticity, mentally, spiritually, relationally, and emotionally. These are like guardrails, these core values, because this is how you can make decisions. So just because you have opportunities or people say, can you do this or can you do that? You should come do this or you should come do that. This is how we avoid burnout. When we have these guardrails, does it line up with my core values? Let's see. Are we cultivating courage? Are we cultivating growth? Are we cultivating authenticity? These are things that I stand by, that I stand upon. And so if it's not doing any one of those things, it's probably not something that I'm interested in and not somewhere that I want to spend time at. Do you see how powerful this is? Like, I just got excited about that. My second one is, to the best of my ability, I want to add value to rooms and lives that I enter. And I also want to do no harm. So the do no harm comes from the code of ethics that is we have for that licensed clinical counselors have to follow. They have a code of ethics. And one of the codes is to do no harm to the client intentionally. And so I really, really thought about that, like intentionally or not intentionally. I can't control the non-intentionally, but I can really, to the best of my ability, add value to rooms and lives that I enter, and I can work to do no harm. And that's where I was able to put the guardrails around my mouth and understand that although my truth was celebrated in my home, it can be a dagger that kills somebody out in the real world. You know what I mean? Like, it can be a murder weapon out in the world. And it can hurt somebody. And it can be harmful. So I really have to be mindful of my delivery, or I need to know when to be quiet. And that's okay. there are moments when it's not time to speak. It might be time for me to listen. And it might time for me not be time for me to share my full truth. And if I don't feel that I can deliver it in a way that is edifying, then it might not be something that I need to share at all. Like I need to be mindful of those things because my goal is to do no harm. Even in my relationships with my husband, I have to remember I can be mad as fire and I can be so disappointed or frustrated or angry or upset or whatever the thought is. Or I can be in love or I can be happy or, I can just be being critical. So now everything's filtering through. Am I harming you? Is what I'm about to do going to harm you? Is what I'm about to say going to harm you? Ooh, that'll change you. That'll make you think twice. Even with my kids, like it'll make you think twice and the discipline that it requires and the self-restraint that requires. Uh, it's growth on another level. And my third one was to nurture genuine, meaningful relationships. That is something that I'm not the best at. I can honestly say, hear me out though. This is a safe place. I cultivate safe place here, so we're good here, ladies. We're safe. Um, in my mind, sometimes I do carry guilt because I feel like I'm not like the best friend ever, right? Like I'm not that girl that loves I don't like to talk on the phone. So this is where my honesty comes. But I don't want to sit on the phone and talk to you every day. Like for me, and we're going to talk about that next. That is a drain. That drains me. I definitely there's moments where we definitely got to catch up. We got to talk on the phone. Um, but I'm that one. Like I'm the friend that's going to be like, girl, I'm going to spend quality time with you. I'm going to say, let's get something on the calendar and let's go to lunch. You know what I mean? Like I love the face to face, but the mundane, girl, what you doing? Oh, need nothing. Oh, I ain't want nothing. See, that's gonna burn me up because like why? So I'm that one though, for real. It's like I'm gonna be one that I'm that one that's gonna be like, you know what? Yeah, let's catch up. What's going on? And I'm gonna schedule a lunch with you. I'm gonna give you time. Like I'm gonna show up and spend some time with you and see what's going on with your life in your life. And I will try to do that consistently. And I haven't been as consistent as I wanted to be. Just been crazy busy. But I realized that that is one of my values. That as I age and it means more and more to me. And as I'm realizing that genuine, meaningful relationships are hard to find. Like, I don't know about you, but trying to make friends after 40 is hard. And I'm learning that as it's so hard to find these genuine relationships, trying to like consistent relationships, the ones that I do have, I need to honor more. I need to value more. I need to cherish more, even if it means me stepping out my comfort zone and having a phone call. You know what I mean? Like, it can't be about me all the time and what makes me comfortable and what I want to do and what I don't want to do. Like, even if it means me being flexible, because I'm the one, like, I said, I don't like talk on the phone. Um, Generally my schedule don't allow me to be caked up on the phone for hours and hours. And also I like to kind of be present with my kids and my family. And so being on the phone, I just wanted to clean that up a little bit. So kind of just being on that phone is just a distraction. And I really try to be present when I'm home. Um, but you know, I will text. Like if you want to text, I got you. We can text all day. For sure. So it's not like I don't communicate at all with my friends, but I'm just not one that wants to be on the phone. But I am that one that if it goes down, I'm on the scene first and I'm there until the crisis is averted. Like I am that loyal friend. Like I'm gonna be there and I got you. What do you need? Like I'm gonna take care of your mama if I need to. Your mama sick and you my girl. What? What she need? Do I need to go see her when I get off work? Do I need to bring her food? What's up? Do you need to go get the kids? Do I need to take her home? What you need? You know what I mean? Like I'm that girl. So I'm a unique friend, I'll say. I'm gonna stop saying I'm the worst friend ever. Because I had guilt around that. So I did label myself that. And you know what? I'm gonna stop that. Because I don't think that's the worst friend. I think this is me learning who I am. And this is as a friend in that friend zone. So this is me living authentically. And so yeah, but there's times where I have long distance friends. So One of my friends, we're pen pals, so we write each other emails, and I love it. And then I have another friend that we just there's distance. We can't always go to lunch, so yeah, we will hop on a phone call once things are settled in the evening. So it really works, but I'm over explaining. But yeah, when I realized I need to put this value, I need to value and cherish the friendships and relationships that I have more, that I have now more. I need to do a better job of that. So if I'm blessed to find or have a genuine, consistent, meaningful relationship, oh, I'm going to honor it and cherish it and value it for sure. So those are my core values. I wanted to give you an example. Like I sat with that thing. I had to figure that thing out. Like it was not easy because I was like, man. So I hope you take a moment to figure some core values because these core values become your guardrails for everything. What you say yes to, what you say no to, and you can tell folks why if they want to be persistent. How you respond emotionally, you know, it really kind of it sets you up to live authentically, having these core values. And sis, do you have them? Do you really have them? Be honest, because I didn't. I thought I did, and I didn't. I couldn't call them when I went to sit down and do this work and write this podcast and work on this outline. I was like, I don't have core values. That sounds terrible to say out loud, but that's so real. And if I don't have them, I know there's somebody else that don't have them either. So I'm willing to be the sacrificial lamb. Because if it causes you to sit and do the work to really think and self-assess and put some time and energy into getting them, please, I want you to do that. Okay. Barriers to living authentically or keys to living authentically. Where are your gaps? Okay. When we talk about gaps, where are your gaps to living? What keeps you from living authentically? Where are your gaps? Where are you finding that there's gaps here, right? These might be some blind spots. When I'm in these spaces, I'm not fully my authentic self. That's a gap. Whether you see it or not. That's why I didn't fully call it a blind spot, but that's a gap to authenticity. That's a gap. So it's kind of like, okay, you need to notice when you're around people and when you're in different environments, when you're in different places, do I feel like I'm gaining energy? Or do I feel like this is draining energy from me? So am I at a gas station? Am I at a gas pump where it's filling me up with gas and I'm getting energized? Or am I being drained? And my gas tank is being empty, like you poking holes in my gas tank and it's gushing out. Notice that about yourself. And that's a feeling that you will know. That is a physical feeling. How do you feel? Oh, I feel drained. Oh, I feel exhausted. When you're around certain people, understand how they make you feel. You might not be your authentic self around that person. You might not truly be your authentic self in that environment. So know where your gaps are. Um, know where your gaps are and make sure, and you can try it a few times. Like do the experiment. Go 2 or 3 times. Go out with a person 2 or 3 times. And if you feel that same feeling, it's time for you to do less. Time for you to make some hard decisions. If you're in these same environments, in these social environments, in these social circles, um, work environments, any type of environment where you feel drained and you don't feel like you're being energized, you don't feel like you're fulfilled, you don't feel like you can be fully who you are, you don't feel like you can speak fully, you don't feel like you can share, you don't feel like you can show up as yourself, you got to dress a certain way, you got to be a certain way, you got to present a certain way. If you make a wrong move, you're going to be judged. Like, that's not, that's a gap. You can't be your authentic self there. You want to be in places where you can be your authentic self. That's where you're going to be thriving. That's where you feel seen, loved, and known. That's when you know you're in a place where I can just be me and I can just relax and I'm safe here. That's where you want to be. Be intentional about being in those spaces more than you are in those other spaces. Sometimes you can't control it. We got to go to work. We got to go to class. There's certain things we can't control. But the spaces that you can control, make sure you're being aware. Metrics. All right. I should have had a ruler. Your measuring sticks. When we talk about metrics, Who is determining your authenticity? Oftentimes, ladies, we are not the ones that even get to choose when we're living authentically or not. Whether we're aware or not aware, it could be a generational metric. I just talked about these belief systems that come from our parents and our grandparents. It could be a generational metric that you're trying to live up to that's causing you to not live authentically. It could be a metric that they don't even hold themselves to anymore, that you still holding yourself to. Consider that. Oftentimes, it's not even a thing anymore. But because that's all you know and that's all you heard growing up, it's so heavily ingrained into your identity that you might not know who you are without that generational metric. So it might take some identity restructuring to live authentically. And that's okay. It's hard work and that's scary, but it's worth it. You are worth the fight. Fight to be you. Fight to be you, sis. Fight to be authentically you so you can live in this space of you-ness. No, it's important and it matters. Sometimes we are living by societal metrics, and that's a big one. Society tells us what size we should be, how we're supposed to look, how our hair is supposed to be, makeup, fashion. Oftentimes, the fashion is even non-authentic, right? Like, I was even looking in my closet like, because sometimes I will tell you, this is an example, and there's a lot of approval seeking in here in this too, societal. There's a lot of approval seeking in this societal metric. And I remember when, first of all, I dressed up everywhere I went. I would dress in full face and full makeup to the grocery store because I might see somebody. And I couldn't have nobody see me not picture perfect. Pressure, a waste of time, waste of energy, not authentic at all. Not authentic at all. A societal metric. Society also will have you thinking, even with fashion, um, that you can't wear certain things. Like you might have a style that you love, right? You might like to color block, or you might like to be bold with the colors. Like you might be the girl that's going to wear the yellow and the pink and the orange. You know what I'm saying? And you can do it. Like if you can work it, work it. You know what I mean? Like, but you won't because what are people going to say? For me, it was, oh my gosh, I don't want to draw all this attention to myself. So I'm not, I always felt overdressed. Now I'm the one, first of all, I just found a look fashion wise for me that works, that was easy, and I stuck with it and I don't venture out much. Okay. So like I'm not super like a cool kid. And I used to want to be a cool kid. I tried to be a cool kid. I'm on Pinterest, like studying, the wide leg pants and the pants with the pockets on them and the crop tops. And I'm trying to be a cool kid, but it was exhausting. Like trying to put them outfits together and mimic that look and be something that I'm not. Listen, let me tell you something. You're gonna catch me in a blazer, some pumps, a V-neck bodysuit, and some chill earrings. Like, period. That's how you gonna catch me. Like, that's what you're gonna do. Like, that's what you're gonna get from me. So I don't even know what to tell you. So yeah, like, mm-mm. And that's okay. Yes, I'm overdressed in many places, but I don't know how to wear sneakers. Like, I don't know. I'm either dressed or I'm not. So you're either gonna get some Crocs and some sweatpants and a t-shirt, or you gonna get, this me put together. Like I that in between, I just ain't figured out how to do it yet. I'm working on a nice, cute, casual vibe. I'm trying to find out what that space looks like for me, fashion wise. But I don't know. So yeah, oftentimes I am overdressed. And yeah, folks sometimes have things to say about it or they make comments or whatever. And I have to become comfortable with that because that's who I am. Like it's just me. Yeah, I be looking like I'm going to a business meeting, but I think I look cute. And I'll switch it up as I venture out, as I have time to. But yeah, so be you. That's the point. Society will have you chasing things that first of all, aren't even worth the time investment or the energy investment. So just make sure you kind of know what you up against. Metrics, experiential metrics. Man, we talked a little bit about those belief systems. We talked about that generational. Sometimes you got a false belief system that your experience have taught you to be true that are not true. It's not true. You might have needed that to get you through, to cope at a certain season of your life. I like to think of the light in grief recovery. We do what we call a timeline. We do a loss history graph. We do a relationship graph. So, and it's generally like a timeline. It's literally the loss history graph is such a powerful exercise, but it's rough, but it's so insightful. It's literally an outline of your losses from birth to present, everything that you lost. Because I just believe that we are the sum total of our losses, right? Because every time we lose something, it teaches us something. So when we dealing with a loss, we learn something from that loss, whether it is I can never trust again, or I'll never be vulnerable again, or I'll never expose myself in that way again. So it teaches us something, but it also takes something from us. If it took our safety, if it took our trust. So the belief systems that our experiences gift us, I say that gift loosely, they keep us for a period of time. They let us cope in whatever season we need to survive, but they weren't meant to be long term. They weren't supposed to stay with us forever. They weren't. Um, my mommy used to tell me all the time I was a very sensitive child, a very sensitive child. And just backstory, because don't come from my mommy, but she grew up dealing with, she still grew up on the tail end of, dealing with a lot of racism. And she was the only black chemist in her field and at her job. And it was difficult and things were hard. So she wanted me to be able to survive. And she didn't know how I would make it. Often, yeah, she didn't know if I would be able to survive. Her little cub would be able to survive me being as soft as I was, me being as emotional as I was. And so she would tell me, you got to take your feelings off your shoulder, baby, and you got to put them in your pocket. You got to take them off your shoulders, so you got to put them in your pocket, so that way they won't get knocked around so easily. If you take them off your shoulder and put them in your pocket, she literally told me to take my feelings, basically not to feel, to put my feelings away, tuck them away, so that I won't have to be bothered with them, so that can never be hurt again. And when I tell you I held on to that, and I'm a tough cookie, I'm a tough cookie. But when she passed away, and I couldn't cry, and I didn't know why I wasn't crying. And I'm thinking now, what is wrong with me? This is my mom, and I love my mom. Like, we had a strong relationship. What is wrong with me? I'm not shedding tears. And I'm going to this counselor, like, I'm not crying. Something's wrong. I lost my mom. Like, I loved her dearly. We did not have a strained relationship. I'm not crying. What's going on? And he couldn't figure it out. When I got to grief recovery, it was the grief recovery certification. When I got certified in grief recovery, did that lost history graph, that's when I realized my feelings are in my pocket. It's that belief system that kept me from being my full self. Like, a part of me is in my pocket. So that was it. And it just clicked. No wonder I'm not emotional. No wonder I'm not emotive, especially as a woman. And, to not be super emotive, to kind of be a little kind of face forward, to be, like, not as feminine as society would claim that you need to be. That's tough. That's those things that I gotta struggle with. And then I'm looking, and then I realize, oh, thank God. I'm realizing in grief recovery, when I'm doing this work and figuring out where these belief systems are, take your feelings and put them in your pocket. My feelings are in my pocket. This is why I'm not reacting emotionally. I literally, physically cannot until I take them out of my pocket. Do the work where my feelings can come out of my pocket and I can be comfortable with them being in my chest again, in their rightful place. And then I can get to know them and have them, because I wasn't able to have them as a child. So as an adult, I'm still not super emotive. Like, I have to I have to evoke tears. I mean, I will watch a sob story right now, a sad movie or a good love story. That's how I cry. That's where my tears come from oftentimes. But it's so true. So these experiential metrics that we measure ourselves against, that we hold ourselves accountable to, oftentimes, my mommy did the best that she could. She gave me that metric. She told me that I needed to have my feelings in my pocket. I did not need to be emotional in order to survive. And it got me through some tough seasons. I am a tough cookie. I can work well under pressure. I'm a tough cookie. But I wasn't a whole cookie. I was a half cookie, if that analogy even works. But I wasn't my whole self. I wasn't my full self because half of me was tucked away. So I'm still doing work to be able to take those feelings out of my pocket in therapy and be able to express them and share them and not just be guarded and disappear and don't nobody know where I went because I'm so guarded because I don't know how to really share my feelings because I'm still trying to gauge that part of me. But that's just part of, me becoming authentically me, is learning me and getting to know me and understanding that part of me and then being able to share with other people. I'm not trying to harm you, but I'm not super like emotional, but I definitely love you and I definitely have this care and concern and I might not cry a lot, but I definitely can sit in this with you if that's what you want me to do. So I can explain that part of me to people even as I'm growing in it. So just experiential, false belief systems. Um and then rejection. We talked about comparison. So I'll throw that in there, but the twins, comparison and rejection, are the twins. We talk about experiential metrics. Comparison, we talked about comparison a lot. I won't go into that again. But rejection is definitely can be a metric that can keep you from living authentically. And it only takes you feeling rejected a half of a time. And I was intentional about saying feeling rejected because the other person's intent could have wholeheartedly been not even been to reject you. Like in their mind, they might not even think that they rejected you, but you feel rejected because of whatever your experiences are. So it feels like rejection to you when they told you no. It feels like rejection to you when you didn't get that job. So it feels like, oh, I'm never going to try that again. I'm never going to do that again. Or when you went and asked that person to go out to lunch and they said, oh, I can't do it right now. That felt like such rejection. You were just like, I'm never going to ask again. Like I'm never going. That's the last time I'm ever. Or when you entered in that relationship and it didn't work out and you actually physically were left or abandoned. And that level of rejection just taught you that no one's ever going to love me again. That's not true. Those experiential metrics are powerful. And you have got to identify, do your reality check, decide what's true and what's not true. Honor the time that those belief systems may have kept you. Like that whole feelings in your pocket, it was a lot of times, especially when I was working in some pretty tough work environments where I didn't really need to be super emotional, right? I didn't need to be an emotional individual. I would not have survived my first job if I was an emotional female. Like I would not have, period. It was tough. And it was tough. And so I wouldn't have survived. But that didn't work when I got married and when I tried to be a mom. Those first few years, and I'm still working through being, completely vulnerable and aware. Like that stuff is still kind of awkward for me with my husband. But like that doesn't work in all settings. So yeah, it kept me. I honor how it kept me strong and it gave me the ability to endure. It gave me the ability to stay focused in some really tough, harsh environments. But it's just not good for me over here in my marriage. I don't want this for my husband. This is not what he deserves. This is not healthy for my children and over here as a mother. I need to be able to show that I'm not a robot. I have feelings and feelings are okay. And I have to have them to be able to demonstrate to them that they're okay. Because what I'm doing is raising up more robots. and I shouldn't even be using that language, so forgive me, but emotionless beings. When I say robot, that's what I mean. Raising up individuals that feel like they can't have feelings either. And that's not okay. That's not okay because their feelings matter and they need to learn to embrace them. They need to explore them. They need to learn to control them. They need to know when to use them. They need to know when to not use them. They need to know when they can be high. They need to know when they can be low. When to turn them up, when to tone them down. Those are things that you learn in life. Those are things that have to be taught. So, for sure, for sure, final barrier to um, living authentically. Oh, this is another metric, your if then statements. Be mindful of your if then statements. This is a serious metric too, and it might be tied to your experiential metric or your generational metric. This one, these if then statements, know what you're saying about yourself. I ask every episode because I mean it. What are you saying to yourself? If you need to journal it, if you need to log it, if you need to write it down, we track calories, we can track our words too, for sure. You know what? That might be a thing. The word journal. What am I saying to myself? That might be something I need to work on because, like, I need nothing to do. But that's for real. We're tracking our words, tracking our thoughts, the if then statements. If I'm not this, then I'm not that. If I am this, then I am that. If I achieve this, then and only then am I worthy of that. Them if then statements are dangerous, man. They are. Whoo, they dangerous. And you know what they are? They're prison cells. Not even a prison cell. I wouldn't even say I get it, but I would say they're lids. Lids. And they lock you in. So you can't go any higher than this lid will allow you to go. And if you are on the podcast, I'm holding a container with a lid on it. And it's only about 2-3 inches tall. You can't go any higher than this lid would allow you to go. So you don't want to be your own lid. That's what I realized with myself. I wrote that down in my journal when I was exploring my emotions. Like, don't be your own lid. And that's what these if then statements are. For a long time, I didn't think the approval seeking, when I talk about these approval seeking, and it's kind of sort of like people pleasing, but it's mostly approval seeking. It's like, if I work hard enough, then you'll love me. I used to, it was always because I'm a perfectionist and I am pretty productive. And if you do I do a lot of personality assessments and things of that nature, trying to learn who I am. Part of living authentically is learning who you are. I'll put some personality assessments in the comments as well, so that you can, in the description, so you can definitely take some of those, because you want to know about your personality and what environments suit you best, and you want to learn about that stuff. But you aren't measured by those things. You're not measured by those things. For me, it was like when every single personality, it was, oh, you're loyal, you're dependable, you're reliable. Loyal, dependable, reliable. Your boss can trust you to get the job done and not even have to think about it. You can work independently. And because I'm that, it's always, I felt that it was, my works that would get me the love or the relationship that I wanted. But that can't be the case. And that's not the type of relationship that I want. I want you to get to know me. So if you find, when I find that when we're always talking about work, that's fine. I'll just categorize this as a working relationship, and I won't get it confused as a friend relationship or a personal relationship. But oftentimes, I used to work hard, and it wasn't people pleasing. It was like this approval seeking. If I work hard enough, then I'll be worthy of your love. If I'm consistent enough with you, then you'll love me, or you'll want to mentor me, or you'll want to, include me. No, these are not, no if then statements. When I build my business, if I have a successful business, then I'm accomplished and I'm valuable and I've done something. And I was working myself into the ground, losing relationship and time with my kids, building businesses for what? No. Precious time with my children is what is my priority. Like, these businesses don't bring any value to me. I appreciate the platform that God has given me. I am grateful for the influence that God has placed on my life. I never would have seen this come from me. I never would have seen it. I'm so grateful for the vision that He gave me and the things that we were able to build, my husband and I, together, business wise. But that doesn't make me who I am. That doesn't make me worthy of anything, of anybody's respect, love, or admiration. If the only reason that I'm feeling seen, loved, and heard by an individual is because of what you feel like I've accomplished, or you're impressed by what I've accomplished, that's not something I'm interested in. Be mindful of your if then statements. Be mindful. All right. This is kind of heavy, but it's long, and it's kind of long, but it's a jam-packed session, and it is worth, I feel like, I hope it's worth every second of your time. I hope it's worth every second of your time. Yes, call out your approval seeking for sure. I got one more for you, though. I got one more thing to help you live authentically. And this one is, it's hard. It's hard, but it's so necessary. And so this one, living authentically, a key to living authentically. Whew. Reconnect with your inner child. Get to know your inner child. And I mean the 4-year-old Gwendolyn, the 4-year-old Renee, the 4-year-old Crystal, the 2-year-old Janine. I'm thinking of all your names. Y'all got to write me and talk back to me so I know who your names are, know what your names are. The 2-year-old, 3-year-old Erica, even the 12-year-old Renee. Did I say Renee already? The 11-year-old Juanita. Get to know your little girl. We are so disconnected from our inner child because she oftentimes is wounded. Jesus, this is hard, y'all. This is hard for me. This is the work I'm doing in therapy right now. This is hard. As you get to know her, you'll get to know you. Your inner child, you will be surprised how much she is driving your behaviors as an adult. You will be surprised how much your inner child is driving your current behaviors. You want to live authentically? Get to know her. Know what she needs, what she needed then and didn't have. Because that's what you need now. That's what you're looking for now. That's what you're seeking after and working so hard to find now. Learn what she needs, and I promise you'll discover your blind spots, you'll discover your unmet needs, and you will discover your gaps. Stop running from her. She actually needs you. She actually needs you to nurture her and love her and let her know that you're here for her and that she's not alone anymore. Nope. This is heavy. But it's important that she knows that she's not alone anymore. Like, I'm here. I have to tell little Gwen all the time, you are not alone. I'm here for you. I got you. You don't have to do that by yourself anymore. She did at that time in her life, whatever trauma she experienced. You might have been alone then, but you're not alone now. I'm here. And we are okay. We are okay. I'm going to leave you with a hug on that one. I'm giving you a big old hug Mwah. I'm sending all of my love your way. Listen, info at asafeplacenc.org. Email me. Let me know. GwendolynJJones.com. Subscribe. These letters are coming. I'm going to have um, this email system on lock real soon. I'm excited. I'm coming your way. I want to make sure these check-ins are happening. I want to be in your inbox. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. I want you to have inspiration throughout the month. I want to encourage you. I want to try to post more on my social media, so you can find me on Gwendolyn Jones, Gwendolyn J. Jones, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever they all are, YouTube. Um, Find me, because I want to find you. I want to get to you, because I think this is important. And I want you to be stronger, healthier, wiser, better. I want you to be mentally and emotionally sound. I want you to be happy. I want you to be hopeful and not hopeless. I want you to know that you're not alone. We are in this together. We are building this community. We are building this community of safety. We are building this community of authenticity. We are building this community of love. We don't have to do this alone. We do not have to do this alone. So, big things on the horizon. Make sure you're connected to all things Gwendolyn J. Jones. Find me, find me, find me. I'm excited to meet you. Leave comments, subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the podcast, share, please, if this is impactful, share with somebody else. Definitely trying to get the word out. Want to help as many people as possible in the shortest amount of time. I love you. This is my love letter to you. With love, Gwen. Bye bye.